we go, and we're on. We are here. Yes, it is. I know everybody's sitting there going, wait, Rev, it's Tuesday. It's a Tuesday. That's why I wasn't on last night, because I knew I was going to have somebody hanging out with me on tonight. But yes, it's Tuesday. It's a good Tuesday, a happy Tuesday. Well, the power went out last night from, 9 o'clock until 3 o'clock in the morning. So I was up the whole time on last night. And I'm feeling it today. Trust me. Trust me when I say that. So the power finally comes on at 3-something in the morning. And we were able to finally get back to normal and with everything. But hey, fam, how we doing? We're having a good day today. I got my good friend on here with me from far, far away. And like always, what I like to do is shut my mouth for a minute and give them the opportunity to let you know who they are. So I'm going to shut my mouth. I'm going to give him the floor and let him go. He's been with us a couple of times before. We every time we get something, boom, we get together. But he's been with us before. Go for it, my friend.
Well, thanks for having me. Good to see you. So my name's Steve Yerger, and I have a business called Three Chill Services, LLC. And within that, I provide training, use of force, self-defense training from non-lethal up through less lethal, deadly force. Then I do investigative services, private security services, and I also do independent investigations for use of force and or consulting with lawyers who are defending self-defense, either criminally or civilly. Sometimes I testify, write reports, so on and so forth. And to date, I've worked literally thousands and thousands and thousands of those cases. Sometimes I have 20 a month. So that's what I do.
Awesome. So Steve calls me up and say, "Hey, Rev, we need to get some things out," because one of the things that he knows is I'm very connected with Dexter Taylor. Dexter Taylor is sitting in prison right now in New York because the state of New York decided not only to use this black man as a political prisoner, but use him in a way of telling other black men in a way, don't ever think about learning about guns at all. That's how I see how that case went down. And so my friend Steve here reached out to me and was talking about the ATF. And like I was telling him, I really don't keep up with anything of the ATF. I couldn't tell you too much about them other than we see them, and those in the Black Gun Club I'm in, we see them as police. And y'all know how black people see police. So we don't discriminate. We don't take one and say it's one's okay and the other one isn't okay. Same thing as what you see here in Minneapolis, with everybody running around getting crazy about ICE and being mad at the police department for working with ICE. It's all the same to us. So Steve here is going to explain to me why I should see the ATF different than all of the other agencies out there that's going on.
Well, actually, I don't think you should seem different. What happened was you and I were talking on the phone, and I can't remember how the ATF came up, and I made the comment that I'm anti-ATF and they should be shut down, and you were shocked. You were like,
yeah.
What? He goes, you said, I thought you would have been all about the ATF, and I said, no, they're corrupt. They're corrupt federal police. And I could give you example of it. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about why most gun owners are not a fan of the ATF. And I want to talk about some cases with you.
Yeah, especially the one that I was reading up on, because I guess I'm not a person who believes that a gun should be modified at all. Period. Point blank. It's just like these switches that are in the black community, where they can take a gun that goes pow, 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 and they pull a trigger, and that gun could be fired so many times it's not even funny.
It's those switches, Glock switches, make them full auto, and that is illegal. Right.
But we got them in our community. Even though they're illegal, even though the law says we can't have them, we have them. So when I'm reading this here, maybe, and that's what you're here for, like I said, to make sure I'm reading things right and I understand this right. So if we go to this here situation that happened in Florida, in Jacksonville, Florida, what is a auto key card case?
So the auto key card case is about some defendants that were hooked up by the ATF for making a slim metal card that has etched marks in it that resemble a lightning link. And if you were to cut that out and it worked, you could put that into an AR-15 platform and it would make it full auto. Now you have a machine gun which is controlled by the NFA. You'd have to have a tax stamp, fingerprint. You got to go through all the process to legally own it, right? So what happened was this guy, Justin Irvin, he made these cards as really just kind of a gimmick, as a conversation starter. That's what he testified in court, okay? He's pro-gun, pro-2A, and he was just using those to have conversations, start conversations. And he was selling these. Well, the ATF found out about it, and so they arrested him and charged him for having machine guns, right? So under federal law, let me back up. Under federal, well, it's not even necessarily law. Let's talk about the ATF real quick. So the ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, was put in by executive order to really go after the mob back in the day during Prohibition for alcohol, guns, that type of stuff, right? Well, over time they've evolved.
Hoover?
I think Hoover. I can't remember who did that, and I don't even remember the year. But that was, Elliot Ness was one of the original guys. With the FBI and the ATF. So they were under that umbrella, and then years later, the ATF branched off on its own. So the ATF, what they've been doing for years is they've been making rules, writing rules related to guns that they say are law. Okay?
Well, this must be wrong then. So, hold on one second. Let me make sure here. They said the Bureau of Tobacco and Firearms and Explosive was established on June 1st, 1972 as an independent bureau within the U.S. Justice Department Treasury. It was
that's
created
when they broke off.
They broke off. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
They were already within the system, but they weren't its own entity yet.
Got you.
Yeah. They go back way longer than that. Just not as their own standing agency.
As their own okay. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah. So anyhow, what the ATF has been doing for years, and they really took advantage of it under Biden, is they tried making all these rules, right? And then they said it's a law. Well, only the Congress and the Senate can pass a law, a federal law, and then the president has to sign it, right? That's how a law gets made. The ATF can't just, constitutionally, they can't say, oh, hey, all of a sudden we're saying this is that and this is illegal. Matter of fact, here in the last year, we've had many of their rules shot down by the U.S. Supreme Court. They said, no, you cannot make that a law. That's not a law. This is not right. And they've shot it down. Like pistol braces, for example. Nope. The U.S. Supreme Court shut that down. Because the ATF wanted a rule to say, hey, if you put a pistol brace on like an AR-15 rifle platform, you now have an SBR, a short barrel rifle. And now that's a felony. That's why they passed that as a rule. Well, the U.S. Supreme Court said no, that you can't do that. That's not legal, and you're tromping on people's 2A rights. So anyhow, the ATF found out about this little card this guy was making. He was selling them. He was using them in his process of the Second Amendment stuff that he did. He had a YouTuber that was advertising them for him. They never owned one, never had one, never gave one to anyone. So they arrested this guy, Irvin. But check this out. I'm going to read this right here. Irvin considered the card as a conversation starter. He intended it to spark a discussion about gun rights and the foolishness of gun laws. During the trial, it was disclosed that Irvin did not even want them to have a deep etching on the card in order to prevent buyers from cutting out the lightning link. It was also revealed that the lightning link etching was not the correct size to function as a lightning link, even if someone could cut it out from the card. So it's the wrong size for it to even work, right? Okay. The ATF itself couldn't get the lightning link to function by cutting out the auto key card along the lines. The only way the ATF could get a firearm equipped with a lightning link made from the auto key card to fire automatically was by jamming the fire control group and causing the hammer to follow. The ATF lawyers then argued that the men believed the device would work, so it didn't matter that the auto key card wasn't functional. So basically what the ATF did was they accused this guy of having an illegal gun part that they called a machine gun. He didn't own any other parts, just this card. They tried to get this to work illegally. They couldn't even get it to work illegally. And they still arrested, charged him, and he got convicted. And that was all the ATF's doing.
So, what I'm not understanding, I guess, is why would he even want to make this thing? Well, I mean, I know you sit there and go, well, it's a conversation starter, but come on. I mean, you don't. Yeah, I mean,
it wouldn't work.
But what was it supposed to? If it's a conversation starter, what did he set out for it to be a conversation of? Being able to turn a machine gun into an automatic gun? Is that was the conversation? No. I mean, what was the you understand what I'm saying? If we're going to have a conversation about this thing that I made, what was the conversation supposed to be about?
So a lot of people like myself in the gun community think the ATF overreaches and tramples on people's Second Amendment, okay? And they do that by making these rules of something like this that will not make a semi-automatic into a full automatic. It won't, right? And so his point was, look, this is how ridiculous this is, people, right? It's kind of like this. I recently worked on a federal case with a lawyer out of Montana, okay? And this is what happened. And the DEA and ATF do this all the time to people. The DEA busts a guy for illegal drugs. He says, hey, I know somebody who's selling guns illegally. I want a deal. Okay, so they get the ATF involved. The ATF goes and buys 3 guns from this guy. Undercover sting, right? Then they get a warrant for him illegally selling guns without a license, which we can get into that, because I got cases on that. And they arrested him, charged him, executed a search warrant. Well, when they executed the search warrant, they found a lower to an AR-15, just a lower. They didn't find any of this 15 to 16 other pieces you would need to make an AR-15 or a full auto AR-15. This guy had bought a trunk. He was a collector. Okay, he collects Western memorabilia and guns. He's a gun collector. So he bought a trunk of guns and gun stuff at a estate sale. Okay? Well, that lower was in that trunk. Well, the lower had been machined out. The third hole had been drilled out where somebody had tried to make it so it could work full auto. He did not do that. Well, when he found that, he didn't know anything about that because he collects like cowboy guns and stuff. So he just set it aside. Well, they found it. They charged him for having a machine gun, amongst other things. The reason I'm talking about this is because this is what happened. They sent that lower back to Quantico, to ATF headquarters, and one of their agents took parts, all the other parts needed from their inventory, from the ATF seized inventory, and added their parts to the lower to make a rifle. It still wouldn't work. So then they modified the lower. They had to machine the lower to get it to work. Well, you're fabricating evidence at that point, right?
Right.
They didn't find any tools. They didn't find anything that showed he was building guns at all. And when they tried to make it for it to work, it wouldn't work, so they had to modify it. And then it kind of worked. I mean, that's nuts. That's like, listen, Rev, that's what this is like. Here's an example. Law enforcement comes to my house. They find a tire. And on that tire, there's a serial number that leads to a car that was stolen. So they arrest me and charge me for having the stolen car, even though they don't find the car. I don't have the car. They can't prove I ever took the car. That's basically an example of what I'm talking about.
Right.
Like what they did this guy in Montana. And I've talked to other law enforcement guys, and they're like, "How are they getting away with this? That's fabricating evidence." I'm
well,
like,
that's
hey, I don't know.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. With the ATF being who they are, they can just come up with whatever they want to, right? I mean, if they feel somebody is doing something, they can sit there and go, just like this guy. Well, he's got a auto key card that apparently can modify a machine gun. Well, let's look for.
Hold on, it can't modify a machine gun. It allegedly could modify a semi-auto AR-15 and make it a machine gun.
Well, yeah, you know, yep. Okay, so they can modify a AR-15 to make it fire more times than it wants. So let's get him for making machine guns. Is that pretty much what we're talking?
Yeah, they charged him with having a machine gun because under the ATF rule currently, if you have a part, one part,
not even
whatever
on,
it is.
Wait a minute, not even on the gun. It wasn't even on the gun.
Yeah. That's why I was using that's why I was talking about this guy in his lower. All he had was the lower. They found no parts. There was 15 to 16 other parts missing before that lower could ever be used to make a rifle. They didn't find anything. They didn't find any machining equipment. They found zero evidence that he was building guns. That under the ATF rule, owning a lower with that third hole drilled out, you now own a machine gun. So they charged him with that. But even then, they had to add their own parts from their inventory of seized guns to make a rifle. It still wouldn't work right with the lower, so they had to modify the lower to get it to work right, because it wouldn't work. As it sat, it was just a paperweight.
So are they thinking that if this guy was to use that part, he would then do what they did to make it work? Is that what? Because that's what it sounds like. It sounds like they're saying he would have found a way to make it work, so we're going to find a way to make it work to be able to put him in jail.
I mean, they didn't say that, but that's what it appears to be. You know, they didn't come out and say that.
So
they just stood on the position that, hey, he had a machine gun because a lower by itself with no other parts, by their rule, is a machine gun. And that's crazy. That's insane.
I would say, I was about to say something stupid. Because I was about to say, I don't understand how they could do this. I was just about to say something stupid. But then I realized they can do whatever they want to.
Yeah. I mean, look, let's talk about this Hoover guy that was connected with this. He was convicted of conspiracy, okay? He never sold a card, owned a card, had any part of the company. He was a YouTuber with a huge following about guns, Second Amendment, and he was promoting these as an item, and he got paid for it. They arrested him and charged him, and they wanted to put him in federal prison for 22 months to 34 months. I mean...
Because he was paid to promote it.
Right. But hey, it's freedom of speech, right? That's like saying, if I got paid as an instructor to teach people to defend themselves with a gun, and I'm doing this online, and somebody who saw what I was talking about or doing, they went out and used their gun illegally, that I'm now a co-conspirator of that. That's basically what they're saying. I mean, come on. This stuff is insane.
And this is a case that they couldn't pull. They couldn't pull somebody in. The ATF couldn't go by, sit down with this guy, and go, "All right, look, dude, we know what you're doing, even though you said that's not what you're doing. So we're going to give you the opportunity to cut up the blueprint and never do this, print this." They couldn't do that?
Well, sure they could. They approach people all the time. We can talk about another case here where they approached a guy and said, "Hey, you know, we think you're selling too many guns without an FFL. We want you to stop." He didn't. They arrested and charged him, but, you know, they wouldn't talk to him like that. No, they didn't approach this guy. They just arrested and charged him.
So, again, like I said at the beginning, that a lot of us feel that the police and the ATF and the FBI and all those other bureaus they got out there that's law is all law enforcement.
Yes, it is.
We don't differentiate between the two. I don't give ATF any more leverage than I do the police.
Right.
The police any more leverage than I do the FBI. Right?
Yeah.
Because to me, they all together. Because if the FBI, I mean ATF, was to come to your town. Now, do you have an ATF in your area, in your state?
So every state has a main office. So like ours is in Boise, Washington it's in Seattle, Oregon it's in Portland, and then they handle that state, right? So for example, probably 30 years ago, I had an FFL for probably 7 years, and then I just shut it down because I really wasn't using it. And right after I shut it down, the ATF out of Portland went through the entire state of Oregon and went to every FFL holder, gun dealer, and did an audit on their paperwork. That was the guys out of Portland. Now, they may have brought some guys from, back east, from Quantico to help, but yeah, there's a main office in every state. Like Nevada, it's in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay. Then they must have worked. Well, the one here, we have this big building in Brooklyn Center, and it says it's the FBI building. It's huge.
Yeah.
Huge. So I'm thinking that if we have an ATF, that may be where they're at.
Maybe they might have a floor on there or something. It wouldn't surprise me.
Huh.
Or the DEA. Maybe they share office space with the DEA. Because there's DEA. I mean, every federal agency, DEA, FBI, ATF, they have offices in every state.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I guess, like I said before, I never broke them down to try to understand who they are and what they are. I just tried to make sure that all my paperwork and everything that I do is on the up and up, because I know for a fact if they knocked on my door, I'm going bye-bye. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that, because that's just how they do it. Because it's not many of us that's really deeply, black people that's really deeply into guns, the way that you guys are. You understand what I'm saying? So we're easy prey.
Well, even a lot of gun owners that, like a couple other examples I want to give you. I mean, there's a lot of gun owners that they're not real smart. Meaning they will literally thumb their nose at the ATF and say, I don't believe that your rule is a law, and I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. And well, that's a problem. That's going to be a problem for them, right? I mean, I'm talking about marginalized cases. I'm talking about where they're basically fabricating evidence and strong-arming people. I'll give you another example. So forever, there was a rule, and I sent you the PDF about when do I need an FFL. And the short answer was, as long as you're not selling and buying guns as a business for profit. There's no amount of guns. Meaning, if the ATF thought you bought one gun, for profit, right, as a business, they have charged people one gun for operating without an FFL. And that's a felony. You're looking at time in federal prison for that. That's a federal felony. So, like this guy in Montana, he would buy guns, see a different gun that he wanted, would sell some guns to get the money to buy the other gun. Typically, he would have to add his own personal money in, so he's not really making the money. He sold the undercover ATF guys 2 guns. And that's why they charged him with, selling guns without a FFL. But he wasn't doing it for profit or business. He's a union iron worker, welder. Like, he makes a lot of money doing that. He works on dams, you know. He owns a bar. I mean, there was no evidence, zero evidence that he was selling guns for profit as a business. No evidence. He just happened to sell to these ATF guys. And that's how they charge.
But do we know, you know, what the, you know what I mean? What background they gave him? Like, did he?
Oh, yeah. I worked on the case.
Oh, okay.
I was their expert. I worked on this case. I listened to their, I listened to their body cam, their surveillance undercover body cam.
So they said that they said they were everyday normal citizens like you, and taxpayer citizens. They didn't put themselves out there, say that, you know, they was some punk that needed a gun and okay. See, that's what I call total bull. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I should have a right.
These are adult men, and what they bought were hunting rifles.
Yeah. Sometimes the law and the people who call themselves making the law makes it harder for us to believe in them in any way, shape, or form. And then
that's why,
you know, and then they wonder why they get so much flack, right? Like the ATF in the games that they play. Well, Walker, trying to think of his name now. His last name is Walker. We have a kid here too, who is going somewhat through what Dexter is going through, but he hasn't went back to trial. So I don't know. Walker Anderson, that's his name.
Yeah.
So I
know Walker. I know.
Oh,
Walker.
you do?
I've talked to him on the phone.
Yeah. Okay.
I know Walker and his mom. I've talked to him on the phone. I helped hold a really big space when his thing hit with your representative there, Shane.
Shane, yep.
We set up a fundraiser for him. And, you know, the crazy thing about Walker's case is the ATF's not involved because at the time, it was okay. You know, he called the ATF and they said, you're fine. Well, under federal law at that time, he was fine. But under state law and how the law is written, it's questionable, right? But here's what's interesting about Walker's case. You guys have a wildlife organization. I don't know the name of it, but they, over the years, they have given out at their event, given out to people through raffles, unserialized firearms. Like, they've given out like 8 of them. And they've never been charged. Right? And I know, I don't know. And here's what was really interesting about Walker's case. Him and his buddy were out shooting, and his buddy's in the military. His buddy is actually an instructor on the range. They're out shooting. Somebody calls in and say, hey, my house got hit with gunfire. Deputy shows up, finds them. They're just packing up their stuff, getting ready to leave. Hey, I got this call. I just got to check your guns, make sure they're clean. Well, Walker's didn't have a serial number because he built it. He made it. So that guy calls a supervisor. And they're like, well, we're not really sure, hem-haw around, you know. Long story short, at the end of the day, he gets charged under the state law that's really vague. And here's the crazy part about this. If Walker would have just etched A and a 1 somewhere on that rifle, that's all he would have to have. Then it would have been legal. It would have been considered legal because I had a serial number. I mean, and the reason his case is being held up is because your state has a case similar to his going before the Supreme Court, and they just haven't heard it yet. So nobody wants to do anything until that case gets heard and settled. So let me tell you another crazy thing about this Montana case, and I can talk about it because it's over. It's public information. they also found that this guy had a pistol that was built, I want to say, in my research, it was built somewhere like in 1872 or whatever. Smooth bore pistol. Little thing. Tiny. It would shoot one shot. One shotgun shell, 32 gauge. They charged him with having a short barrel shotgun. You can't even buy. Yeah. Yes, they did. They charged him for having a short barrel shotgun. You can't even buy. You can't even find 32 gauge shotgun shells. Like, they don't exist. That thing's a paperweight. It's a curio item. And for years, the ATF didn't regulate them, but like, I think 10 years ago, they put them on the NFA list and said, hey, you got to register these. They just made that rule out of the blue.
Wow. Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about, man. It is just, it's flabbergasting how they can take and just make up rules as we go.
It's horrible.
I want to ruin somebody's life, so you know what? You got too many shells in that box next to each other, so I'm taking you to jail.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
and listen, local police would do the same thing. I handled a case over in Oregon. Again, same thing. Somebody gets busted, pinched for drugs. Hey, I know a guy that's making guns illegally. So the sheriff gets the ATF involved. They get a search warrant. They go out there. They find a oil can to a car, an oil filter that goes on a car, drilled out. The top was drilled out. The ATF looked at it, and I was shocked. And he said, no, I'm not interested in that. There's nothing here. I don't see anything about gun making. And he left. He just left. He's like, I'm out of here. So the sheriff's office charges this guy with a felony for having possession of a silencer. They did not find a complete pistol. They did not find any gun that had threads on it that could use a silencer, a suppressor. The oil filter, I went over and examined it. The hole that was drilled in it is way too big for any firearm. And it doesn't have the two parts on it or an adapter or threads where you could put an adapter on it to use it as a suppressor. It's an oil filter with a hole in it, but they charge this guy with a felony of owning a suppressor. Well, okay, so I guess every house that has potatoes in it, you could be charged with having a suppressor because you can use a potato on the end of a gun to, lower the noise of the shot. You can take a 1 liter plastic pop bottle, duct tape that on the end of a rifle, and it will work like a suppressor. So, I mean, that's how ridiculous this stuff is.
That's why I look at it and say, when with all the under rules they have, it's hard to sit there and go, the Second Amendment protects us from just having a everyday gun. Sometimes.
Yep.
It's according to how they feel or how bad they want you. Just like Dexter Taylor case, they wouldn't even let him use the Second Amendment in court.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. So I want to talk about this Navy guy. He's a guy, Patrick Tate, out of Virginia, Suffolk, Virginia. On the email I sent you, it's the fourth link down. Sailor now serving 20 years in prison for selling legal gun parts. So this guy, it started out as a hobby, and then he ended up being one of gunbrokers.com, which is a big gun site, one of the top 500 dealers. Well, the ATF went after him. And check this out. Again, it was somebody that they arrested, got pinched, and said, hey. So what he was doing was he was buying guns, military surplus, and replica firearms because he wanted to build a military display museum, right? So he started buying, selling, and trading to start his business while he was in the Navy. Anyhow, it quickly turned into a job on the side, and he's doing this. So this guy has never, ever sold a single item that qualifies as a firearm or requires an FFL. He's only sold non-regulated parts or replicas of firearms. So 40 federal agents, ATF, FBI, HIS, NCIS, SWAT, bomb squad, they all raided his house. And they took all this stuff, right? His money, all this stuff. And they first charged him with possessing 33 machine guns, right? There were no destructive devices mentioned. Well, then his attorneys hired a former ATF senior official as a defense witness, right? And he was well respected within the ATF. And he's like, no, this is literally made up stuff. It's theatrical, it's pure theater, right? So the ASUA, that's the federal prosecutor, she claimed the down payment on his house were profits of an illegal gun trafficking, so she wanted to take that. She claimed that gun broker is the dark web, which it's not. She said his military training made him dangerous, tried to use it against him. She claimed he stole the parts from the military, blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, on and on, right? Throughout the trial, the ATF claimed that their CI, the guy that turned him in, had warned him that he had illegal weapons, right? In the ATF report, they say in the report that M249, which is a grenade launcher, it's a replica. It doesn't work. It's not real. It's fake. Like, you can't even get that to work, right? So they charged him with 5 counts, felonies. And then the ATF decided to take one of his inert RPGs. You know what an RPG is, right?
Yep.
Inert, meaning it can't work. To their lab, completely rebuild the thing with components off of one of their own real RPGs and demonstrate that it would work by shooting a .30 caliber training round in a self-contained firing mechanism. They essentially inserted a bolt-action rifle into the tube that looks like a rocket, fired one shot, and said that it's a working RPG. So, again, they're fabricating evidence.
And that's and like I said, that's what gets me about what these people, how dangerous these people are, and what they can do. They can take something that wasn't meant to be for what they think it is, and they can do things to make it work when this guy apparently wasn't using it for that or was not going to use it for that. And now he's how long is he in prison for?
20 years.
Yeah.
He's a kid.
20 years.
Yeah.
For that. And then so here's my thing. Like this guy right here right now. How would he know that the parts that he's using is illegal in the ATF world? Because apparently the ATF is living in their own world. Because they can make up whatever they want, right? So how would I, if I was to go buy something, right? And here I am, I'm thinking, look, I bought it, right? And if they can track it, knowing I bought it, to me, I'm going, I should be okay. If you're selling something, he bought this thing. He bought what he bought from a store. He bought where he bought it from, like you said, online gun brokers, right? A lot of my friends use gun brokers when they buying their guns or whatever they're doing.
Right.
If gun brokers sell that to me, here's the thing that gets me. If this website sells that piece to me, how would I know that that piece is on the ATF hit list? If I'm buying it off,
well, they shouldn't have been on the hit list. That's what I'm saying. So he was actually one of the top brokers on gunbrokers.com. They were letting him sell this stuff. They approved it because none of it worked. It wasn't real. Look, you can go online right now and you can buy a inert paperweight hand grenade. It used to be a real hand grenade. It's not anymore, right? It won't work. It doesn't have the parts to make it work. You can do that. I just talked to a lawyer last week. I can't help him because I'm not a bomb guy, but I hooked him up with a ex-law enforcement bomb guy that does defense work now. He got pulled over. This hand grenade was in his car. It doesn't work. It's missing a pin. It's missing a handle. It's missing the charge. Like, it's just a piece of metal. They charged him for having a destructive device. It doesn't work. Now, I guess it could be destructive if he threw it through a window or he threw it at someone's head, but it's not explosive. And when I called this guy, and I've worked with him in the past, he laughed. He goes, "What are these cops thinking? That's fabricating evidence." Like, he goes, "I'll take that all day long. That's bullshit." And he's right.
Yeah, it's even people, and that's why I don't dabble in parts and all of that, their type of stuff. Because, like you said, this guy is on the top 500 dealer on here, and even he gets caught up. Imagine somebody like myself who has zero clue. Because one of the things I wanted to do, I wanted to put together a 300 blackout, right? Mm-hmm. And I started looking into how I get these parts and who I buy the parts from and the whole nine. And Dexter's case is what stopped me from wanting to do that, because I'm like, I don't want to. All of a sudden, I get a pin about that big, right? Comes to my house, and the ATF is following it going, well, that pin is too long to be in Minnesota.
Right.
I don't want that, man. I'm like, no, I'm good. So I nicked that in the bud. I am not will not probably ever own the 300 blackout that I want.
So the ATF tried to make a rule against a thing called forced reset triggers, and the Supreme Court shot it down. And there's a video online where 3 ATF agents approach a guy, and they're legit ATF agents, and somebody's filming this that's with him, and they're asking him, hey, we believe you bought some of these, and he's like, I'm not talking to you. I don't have to talk to you. Do you have a warrant? And he's right. I mean, look, I tell people, and I make no bones about it, if the ATF just showed up at my house, I'm not talking to them. I don't trust them. They jam people up all the time. And it's not because I've done anything wrong or I have anything illegal, but I don't trust them at all. I think the ATF needs to be shut down. It needs to be gone. If they were going after gun trafficking, like real gun trafficking,
right.
If they were going, it was funny. The defense attorney in Montana, she said, it's unbelievable that they're going after my guy, who is not a criminal. He's a gun collector, but they will not chase down all these illegal guns that are killing people on the reservation. They just ignore it.
I've said that over and over, because think about this for a second. Okay, you catch somebody with a gun, all right? And you can't make me sit here and believe that if you tell that person you got this gun, you're going away for 10 years. if you don't give us some information of where you got this gun from, you don't think somebody will be talking?
Oh,
if on a downparture of 10 years? Come on. Man. They just don't want to do it, man. That's what I've come down to believe.
No.
They do not
it's
want.
Too hard.
Thank you.
It's too hard. They're going to cherry pick and do this crazy stuff to people like the people we're talking about. And hey, we could talk for hours. We could go story after. I mean, this stuff happens all the time to people. And that's why, like, when I train people, I tell them, look, you're getting into an arena that you better be paying attention and mind your P's and Q's. Because if you become a target of a federal agency and it's related to firearms, good luck. If they want to jam you up, it's very hard to get unjammed. I mean, that guy, they finally settled his case with a plea deal of probation only, supervised probation.
But they lied on him.
I know. On all these, they've lied. All of them. Every one of those links I sent you, every one of those cases, the ATF has lied. Yeah. Or they've taken something that didn't work. There was no parts on scene. And they take it to their lab and they build it with their parts.
This is just like. See, brother, this is the reason why I don't understand, and it baffles my mind sometimes that we as black people and as white people can't come together. Because just like you got the black men who are going to jail, who are innocent and being lied on, this brother right here went to jail and he was being lied on. Yeah. And instead of us fighting that, we are fighting each other.
It's stupid.
It's stupid,
and that's
right?
that's why I wanted to talk to you about this, because I have never realized that someone would think that just because I'm pro Second Amendment and just because I will support good police, but they have to be good. If they're not good, get rid of them. I mean, just even a smidge bad, get rid of them. And just because I do firearms training, that I'm all for the ATF. I never would have thought someone would think that, and I'm not. I'm totally anti-ATF. Get rid of them. I mean, listen, they just look at what the ATF did at Ruby Ridge.
Bingo.
Look at what they did to the Bundys. And
Bingo.
The guy they shot. And listen, I know that guy. He used to live 12 miles from me. And I'm not a fan of that dude, 100%. But what they did to him and his family, completely wrong.
And the local police, let's put this in there too now. The local police was with them, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. So
the Oregon police were. The state
right,
police.
Oregon, yeah, right. So, but the reason we think that way, I thought that way about you, is because we do not break up the ATF and the police. Again, like I said, the ATF and the police are no different in my mind. What right? So when I look at that, or the FBI, because remember back in the day, the FBI was like the best thing when it comes to Republicans. It was only because, when the FBI went after Martin Luther King, the FBI was the best thing in the world. It was, and it wasn't until they went after Donald Trump. Now the FBI is the worst thing ever. We've been screaming about the FBI forever. Right? So that's how we look at things. We look at things going, are they an extension of the police? Is the police an extension of them? If they are, we go, because, hey, you got to remember, and it's on video, you can go back to when The police had dogs.
Oh, man.
Right? You go back. I can go all the way back to when. Think about this for a second. Seriously, think about this for a second. If a mob of people go to a jail cell and pull somebody out of that jail cell, they need the keys, correct?
Correct.
Number two, there's enough police there that should be able to protect that person in the jail cell.
Correct.
That never happened. The person is pulled out of the jail cell, they find a tree, and then hang that person. So there is no protection from the police. People don't ever talk about that type of history when they start going, well, black people don't like the police. Well, we got a reason not to. Because we've never been protected the way we were supposed to be protected. You look at the Panthers. There's a reason the Panthers even got started. It was to police the police.
The police, right.
Right?
And that came about, really, correct me if I'm wrong, but the police were just doing their job during the civil rights movement. Just doing their job, doing what they're told, right? I mean, and I'm totally against that. The only reason I rail on the ATF is because they specifically go after anyone and trample their Second Amendment rights, right? The local police, our local police, whether it's here or in another state, you know, if I were to hear of a cop stepping out of the line, I'm going to say something about that too, right? Here's the problem, and I'm not saying that local police are never bad or haven't done anything bad. Of course that happens, right? The ATF and the FBI, they have so much power federally. Federal court is way different than your state court. It's way different. Matter of fact, there is only certain lawyers that can take a federal court case, right? And it's not cheap. And so, you know, because of what I do for work, I pretty much just talk about the ATF because I want people to know that are gun owners, hey, you got to pay attention to this stuff and know your rights and understand who the ATF is, because most people don't know, right?
Yeah.
They just think, I mean, listen, this is how shady the feds are. I had a client, well, they're still my client part-time, not as much anymore, Tannerite targets, right? The binary targets that you shoot them and they react.
Yeah.
They were a corporate client of mine for years. I was at the SHOT Show one year. Just bear with me. You're not gonna even believe this story. I was at the SHOT Show one year. The owner calls me, says, "Hey, I got the two FBI guys sitting here wanting to talk to me. I don't want to talk to them. I need you to come over and handle these guys." So I go over there. Sure enough, they slide their cards over. One of them was the Western Regional Director of Weapons of Mass Destruction, and he was at the FBI office in Las Vegas. So he's in charge of the whole Western region of Weapons of Mass Destruction, right? He said, "Hey, we're trying to learn more about this stuff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." You know, we talk. And I said, "Well, hey, if the owner gives me permission, I put together a training on all binary targets, including ours, testing, all kinds of stuff. And we've actually held it for law enforcement, Homeland Security, the BLM, SWAT teams, that kind of thing." I said, "If you want it, you can have it. You can probably make it better." "Oh, that'd be great. Email us when you get back from the SHOT Show." I said, "Okay." I emailed those jokers 8 times. They never answered my email. So I told the owner, "Hey, I did my part. I emailed them. I didn't hear from them." A year later, he calls me and he says, "Hey, you know, I've been talking to those FBI guys. They've been calling me, and they want us to fly out to Quantico to meet with their head people." And I said, "No, I'm not doing that. Sorry." And he goes, "Well, why not?" I go, "Kate, this is if a law enforcement officer, any person shows up and says, "Hey, will you come down and talk to us?" No. Talk to you about what? That you're going away. I said, that's how people disappear within the FBI, sir. I'm not doing that. Because there's an FBI agent in Portland that could come down and say, "Hey, here's a letter from my boss. We will fly you. We will meet you at this hotel. We want to have a meeting. And this is what the meeting." That's how that should go down. You don't buy your own plane ticket because the FBI wants to talk to you at Quantico about binary targets, right? That's shady. So I called his lawyer and I said, "Hey, you better shut this down. He's thinking about going." She's like, "Oh, hell no." Kate, this is right after the Vegas shooting. They said the targets were used in that. And I called the guy that I met with, and I had done a training for him. I went back and did a training for him. The training that we're talking about.
Right.
And I called him, and he said, "Well, it's still, I'm not sure what's going on. I'll call you back." He would never call me back. I called him. He never called me back. Anyhow, long story short, we go back to the SHOT Show. He calls me again. "Hey, I got the head guys here for weapons of mass destruction and counterterrorism with the FBI, and they want to talk to me. I don't want to talk to them. Will you come and deal with this?" So I go over there. We talk. They got their cards. They got everything. And I said, "I don't know why you guys are talking to us." And I told them about, I already talked to this guy. We already did this training. I offered to give you guys the training. Then we get this weird call, "Hey, come back to Quantico." I go, "What are you guys doing? This is some shady stuff. So we're out." I said, "We're done." That is shady business right there. That's not straight up, hey, you know what I mean?
Well, it's sad that they can get away. It's just, I mean, it's just unbelievable. The
if
things
you push
that
back,
what's that?
Here's why. If you push back, then you have Waco. David Koresh.
Got a point. Well, they painted him. They kind of painted him as crazy.
Well, not only that, they said he was illegally selling guns.
Was he?
No. He was buying them. No. I don't know if he sold one or two or whatever, but they made the allegation that he was running an illegal gun trafficking. And then you've got the whole thing about Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Fast and Furious was an ATF thing with Obama and Eric Holder. Totally illegal. And that would have never come out if that border guy hadn't gotten shot. It would have never come out.
We wouldn't even heard about that because it was, yeah. That's true. That's definitely true on that. So,
gun owners need to understand a couple things. One, the ATF cannot make law. They try to, but they can't. Do they arrest and get people convicted under the rules that they call law? Yes, they do. So you better know what you're doing. Right? Two, you better understand that the ATF is not your friend. If they come to your door and they say, "Hey, we want to talk to you about something," do you have a warrant? No. Goodbye. Shut the door. And I'm not trying to give legal advice. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just telling you my position because they are so shady. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And like I said, ATF is something that, in the black community, and it's because we do not highlight guns in our community like we should. And I think that would cut down, just from what I know and what I see, I think that would cut down on some of the gun violence or sorry, let me back up. I'm thinking I'm being a liberal now, right at this second.
Hear you, yeah.
The violent people with guns, because guns has never been violent. There've been violent people who has a gun in their hand, right? And we have a lot of violent people in our community who somehow gets guns in their hands.
Yep.
I think if we had a program to where some of these black kids knew the power of a firearm before a gang member put it in their hands, I think, maybe not, but I think they would think twice before pulling that trigger. Because I know when I take kids to the range and they're when the first time they ever actually pull the trigger and shoot the gun, how they literally put the gun back down and go, oh my God. It's almost as if they're afraid of the gun. And it's the same thing. And the only reason I think that they're not afraid of the gun when they're shooting somebody is they're so high. They're hopped up on whatever drug they're out there selling. So they don't get that impact from that gun that you would if you're sober and somebody's teaching you you know what I mean? So
Right.
That's how I think that we have to turn this thing around.
Well, and I also think all kids, youth today, no matter where they live, they got to have a strong, positive male role model that's going to mentor them on, what it means to stand up for yourself versus what it means to, have an ego, right? Meaning, oh, you called me a name, right? Because in self-defense, there's no ego. It's just preservation. You're doing it because you got to preserve yourself or someone else, right? And unfortunately, there's a lack of that. I mean, there's a lack of that with trainers. I know so many trainers. All they do is teach hard skills. Here's how you use this gun: draw, point, shoot. They don't talk about this.
Right.
They don't talk about this. Your heart, right? I mean, I've been having a lot of conversations lately on X, and I'm going to do some more on this other platform I've been invited over to, on soft skills. And the soft skills are really the hard skills. De-escalation, threat assessment, right? All those things that maybe could prevent you from being in that situation. When I was in college, I did an internship in South Central LA. Gang Central. Crips and the Bloods, right, back in the 80s. Lafayette Park, Chateau Park. I mean, they were killing each other left and right. And I ran a rec center.
Mm-hmm.
And, those kids, dude, they didn't stand half a chance with their home life.
No.
I mean, it was bad. And when I worked for Outward Bound for a year, I took kids out for 30 days, and they were adjudicated youth. Kids that were sent to jail. And if they made it through the program, we could write a report to say, go back home or whatever. We had a 50% success rate of those kids staying out of trouble for 3 to 5 years. Well, guess what? Those kids didn't go back home. The kids that went back home, nah.
Well,
I had a kid, great guy, and I went and picked him up from jail myself because he was 6'4", like 290 bodybuilder, young black man. I mean, a stud. You know why he got arrested? Because his dad taught him how to sell cocaine and steroids and had him selling that for him.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of kids today. But there's a lot of kids today that parents know what they're doing. If I come walking in a house and I got on, $200 jeans, I've got a $500 jacket, and I got a new pair of Jordans on, and the mom knows they don't have enough money to afford any of that stuff,
yeah.
Where did the kid get it from?
Yeah.
Right. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, half these kids, if you go on the streets right now, when I'm downtown on a Saturday and I'm telling these kids to go home at 2 o'clock in the morning, these kids are dressed to the nine. They got gold chains on, diamond chains on. Now, a parent knows I did not buy that, right? I didn't buy that. Where did you get it from?
Right.
They know, brother. They know. You know? So so what I've been asking for the past 5 years, because you just brought up something in a way of saying, like you said, you fixed the kid, you cannot send him back to a broken home, to the same, right? So
right. Yeah.
What I've been begging for is to a facility where we get the 25 kids that are causing the problems. And we know who these kids are. But if we take 25 kids who are out here causing problems, we put them in a facility, we work with these kids and we fix these kids, and then we work with the home, find out what's going on there and fix the home, we send the kid back after we're done then we're not going to have a problem. But you can't fix a kid and then send him back to the same broke home that he ran from and expect that kid to be a good kid. It's just not going to work. And that's what we do. These kids here, they go out and carjack a car. Then they send them to jail. They go to jail for a couple of days. They get a hearing. The judge says, okay, you've been here twice now. We're going to give you 3 more points. We take that kid and send that kid right back to the same home. Next week, that very kid, once he gets that ankle bracelet off, is out doing the same thing.
Right.
So
right.
That's what I look at it when it comes to these guns, and I don't understand why the ATF isn't busy, especially in the black community, trying to find out or come up with a way to where these kids are getting these guns, because they're getting younger. 11-year-old boy right here in Minneapolis, 11-year-old boy pointed a gun at a 16-year-old boy. The 16-year-old boy shot and killed the 11-year-old boy. 2 kids under the age of 18 shooting guns at each other. Where is the ATF on that? But
right.
The ATF can go get Patrick, tell a lie on him, and then give him 20 years. Make it make sense.
I've never heard an ATF agent say this. This is my sheer opinion based on work and what I've seen. I think the ATF isn't doing that. Number one, it's too much actual work. They actually have to work hard at that. And 2, I got to be honest with you, sometimes I wonder if there isn't some arm of our government that's just allowing that to happen. Like, they're involved in,
right?
Like Fast and Furious, yeah. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but
no, I'm with you.
I'm just saying. When I see this stuff, I'm thinking, wait a minute. I mean, if they're going to jam up Randy Weaver over one shotgun, one that he never even shot anybody with, they're going to jam him up, shoot his wife, standing in a doorway holding a baby with no gun.
They shot his son too, right? Didn't they shoot his son?
They shot it. Yeah, shot his son, his wife, and the dog. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the dog.
And Randy Weaver was never convicted of anything after all that. Nothing. So I look at stuff like that and I go, that's over one gun in Idaho in the woods. How are they doing all that for one gun in Idaho in the woods, but you got kids slaughtering each other with Glock switches, short barrel rifles, all kinds of stuff, and you never hear about the ATF going after that stuff. Ever. Yeah. So that's why I think either A, it's just too much work, like, oh, that's actual work we got to do, or B, they just don't care, or C, some level of government is complicit in your communities, just like with drugs and everything else. You know what I'm saying?
I'm beginning to think that what you just said is true, because the government here, it's not a priority. But then again, like I said before, if the ATF want to go after people who are selling guns, and really those guns are being used, because this kid, it says Patrick never sold a single gun, not one, right?
Not one. No.
Even though he sold thousands of parts, right? He just sold parts. He didn't sell guns like they do it, but they went after him.
Yeah, I know. All that money and time. All that money and time. And he's not a criminal. Like, he doesn't have a criminal background.
And he didn't do it behind their backs.
No.
He didn't do anything behind their back. He wasn't selling anything for cash. He wasn't doing it out of the back of a car. He wasn't doing it out of a hotel room. He was doing it right online where you can see his transactions and the things that he was doing.
On Gun Brokers, one of the most highly used, well-known websites.
And that's why I sit here and go, wow, this is the whole thing why law enforcement is gotten out of hand. It's gotten out of hand. And again, I'm going to go back to what I said a little bit ago. This guy is no different than they're looking to find somebody to plant a murder on, and that man is in jail and he's innocent. This is no different than what they do in the black community, except this just happens to be about guns, where ours is about murder. And we don't and we can't come together to see that we both are getting stuck up the ass by the government. I mean, it just
100%. 100%. 100%. And you know, I know several. I can't say a lot because I don't know a lot, but I know several professional local law enforcement people, and they're really good cops. Meaning they're fair. They don't pull the bullshit. They're good people. Okay, they do not like the ATF. They do not like them. They don't like working with them. They want nothing to do with them. They don't like the DEA. I mean, so there are those out there. Unfortunately, they're not vocal enough because they're afraid of losing their job. You know?
No, understood. Understood. Especially on that. Like you said, they're afraid to say something because only thing they have to do is open their mouth and just like this guy, like you said here, they made stuff up in his case. What was to say that this dude don't go out in his police car or his ATF car or in his locker and find something in there that he didn't put in there. Right. And now he's off the force and in jail. So the government, man, the government is bad, dude. The government has always been bad. The government has never, ever been our friend. They've found a way to divide us, to believing that this government is good and this government is bad. This government is bad and this government is good. And the whole while they're just collecting us slowly but surely and putting us in places that we shouldn't be. And they're making money off of this dude that they just put in there for 20 years, right? You know that, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's the thing that gets me about it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you look at, I'll make another example. How many times have we heard, and I'm gonna talk about conservatives for a second, people running for political positions at the federal level especially, that they say they're conservative. How many times have we heard, we are going to fix the VA, we're going to take care of our veterans? It never happens, ever, never. It's the same shit, different day, different person.
Right.
And anytime there's this finger pointing going on, I'm like, look, you all are in it together. You're all in on this together. Y'all got one big party going, and we're not invited, right? I mean, and you really see it. I see it in my work in the states like Washington, Oregon, California, your state, very more liberal states where they have a lot of anti-gun laws, is what I call them. They call them gun safety laws. Another way they're sticking it to people is if you defend yourself, they're going to come after you.
Oh, yeah.
Because especially with a gun, right? Because they don't like guns.
Oh, yeah.
And that happened here in Idaho. I defended a gun case here in Idaho. I've only had 5 in 10 years. But when I saw the case, and this thing was caught on video, Rev. On video, start to finish, which is super rare. Near perfect self-defense. And this is a young kid. No criminal record at all. 22. Caregiver. Nice guy. When I reviewed the case, I asked the defense attorney, I said, what is going on here? I go, why are they charging this kid? And she said, well, I asked the district attorney that too. Now, this is in Boise, Ada County, which is purple. Okay? And I said, well, what did the prosecutor say? I'm charging him because I don't believe people should be walking around with guns. That's what that DA said. Sir, let me tell you something. We have constitutional carry. We have stand your ground. We have castle doctrine here. I mean, our self-defense and gun laws don't get any better, right? And that DA made that statement.
Are you open carry?
You can open carry, yeah. You can carry loaded. You can do whatever, yeah. I mean, and I asked the defense attorney, I said, well, what did you say to that? And she said, I told him he should go practice law in Washington, Oregon, and California and be a DA over there. This is Idaho. You have the right to defend yourself, and you have the right to carry a gun to defend yourself. I mean, the reason I'm bringing that up is when you talk about this stuff we're talking about collectively, it always comes back to stuff like that. You got somebody in charge who has a position that they don't like independence, guns, etc. And so if they can leverage something against you, they will do it. They will do it if they can. And I firmly believe, when I grew up, my middle school they just started desegregation. And I went to a middle school with over 3,000 kids in it. And over half of them were black, that they bust up from the South, right? We had problems at first, but the kids figured it out pretty quick, right? And see this stuff when I see this stuff going on, that I believe even in the gun community, things are done by leaders and by our government to divide the United States. Because if you can keep the people divided, they can do whatever they want. They can do whatever they want.
Right there. And that's why I always try my best to give an example of something that's going on that the government has done to each of us that we should look at and go, I should be with you fighting for your rights. You should be with me fighting for my rights, because we both are getting jigged by the government at the end of the day. It's like everybody, somebody got on me about the people at January 6th, right? All them people up there and what they did. You're a coon for backing them and believing in them. I never said I backed them and believed it.
Hold on. Somebody called you that?
Oh, yeah. I get called a coon all the time.
But who's calling you that?
Anytime I say something that black people don't like that I say about,
Oh, I got
yeah,
you. Okay.
like I'm mega and I'm for the mega and all this here. If I come anywhere close of actually say, like I said, the January 6 people, I said what they did. If they went up there and they pooped all over everywhere, they broke things, and some of the stuff that we see on video with them hitting the cops, I'm not for that. But do they have a right to protest? Did they have a right to go up there and protest and say, I understand, because they were mad at the government. They was upset at the government. That's the part that I was making. Do I want them breaking things, tearing holes in, breaking down walls? That's no different than when we get upset that a white cop killed a black person, and then we go through and start tearing everything up ourselves. They didn't do anything different than what we did. So we have to understand them being upset, just like they got to understand us being upset. So.
Sure. And you know, here's the other thing that's interesting. Two things on that. One, if they can track down all those people through geofencing, drones, cell phone pings, et cetera, how come they can't track down a gun dealer that's selling gun to kids? If you can track these people down through facial recognition and all the technology they use, come on. There's a reason. You either don't want to do it or you're part of it, right? And here's the other thing. The thing that irked me about January 6th was the people that were there just protesting, not rioting or doing damage. They were held under the Patriot Act. That's how they can hold them without a trial. They've been holding those people for years. And that's not right.
Under the Patriot Act.
I mean, who wants that?
Right. But like I say,
I think the Patriot Act needs to go. I'm not for it.
Yeah, but that's government, though, man. That gives them just another tool to violate every right there is, from the first all the way to the last one, to violate every right that we have, and they say that's okay. That's what they want to do.
Because it's supposed to keep us safe, Rev. It's supposed to keep us safe.
How? But it don't. It don't keep us safe. Yeah, like I said, with this dude Patrick, really? I mean, if he's not in a back alley selling a firearm, what is he doing that's wrong? What is he doing that's going to harm somebody in his community? Nothing.
And here's the thing. It's out of control on so many levels. And a lot of people will say, well, wait a second. He just needed a better lawyer. You know what? You get an activist federal judge that's just going to do whatever they want, or a DA that's been put in by George Soros, which has happened, and they're going to do what they want.
That's right.
Keep this stuff going. You're going to do time, and now you're in a very complicated, expensive problem that will take years, if you can even get an appeal. One. You can get a shot at an appeal. And that, when I see people, when I see husbands or dads or brothers ripped from homes, doing 25 to life for defending themselves.
Right.
Well, now you've not only ruined that person's life, but now you got a wife with kids at home, and she don't work. It doesn't work. You know what I mean? I mean, the problem is not just that. It's a compounding problem.
Well, let's look at. I'll give you one more. So, This guy is going to jail for 20 years. It says here that Patrick will be held in federal prison until 2042. There's a guy just on yesterday. They caught for the second time. First time they caught him, for murder. They actually gave this guy a down departure. He only did 5 years for murder, and they caught him a second time. Not only did they catch him a second time with a firearm, with an illegal firearm, but they're about to put 3 or 4 years. They're about to give this dude one more time, and the DA here is not going to charge him with the gun crime. It's what she's doing. So in other words, he's going to get probably about 3 years for his carjacking, for stealing the car, carjacking. He's going to get 3 years. And he's been in trouble with the law twice already. And this dude got more time than a convicted murderer and a carjacker.
Wow.
Make it make sense, man.
You can't. And clearly he didn't do all his time on the murder, right? So
That's
he
right.
should be on parole. He should be on parole. So now you've broken parole. And technically in most states, just from my work of working on cases with lawyers, if you break parole on like a murder, you're going back in to do the time on the murder.
That's right. Not in Minnesota. Not in Minnesota.
Wow.
Yep. And so this is, like I say, again, for everybody that's listening, when I talk, when I bring things out, when I try to make a message, the message is that we are alike in many, many ways. And the government knows this. And if we start thinking together, we could be oh my goodness, can you imagine what we can do? This government would have to bow down to us.
Yeah.
Instead of us bowing down to the government.
Not to say that Trump's perfect or whatever, but to your point, that last voting cycle for president, it was so big, there was no cheating was going to happen. I mean, people came together, and you know, it's like gun owners, right? There are so many gun owners that don't vote at all.
Right.
They don't vote, and I tell them all the time, look, if you don't vote, you get what you get. If you believe in your rights, you got to stand up for your rights, and voting is one of the ways you stand up for your rights, right? And you can't complain if your state passes all these anti-gun safety laws because you didn't vote.
Yeah. I watched a movie. You got to watch this movie. I don't know if you saw it yet, with Matthew McConaughey in it. It's called The Free State of Jones.
Hang on, I'm going to write that down.
You got to watch this movie, man. It is unbelievable. They did it right. It's called Free State of Jones.
Okay, got it. I wrote it down.
It's back in 1863, 1864. Set back in those days. But the thing that I got out of that movie is how poor white people and poor black people came together and fought the government. Like I said, watch the movie, bro. It's a 2-hour movie. It's pretty long. But what I'm telling you is because I'm going to go watch it again. It's pretty long, but it is worth the watch. And you'll see what I mean when it's over with. You'll understand exactly what I was saying to you.
I've been in a lot of poor communities over the years for different reasons. And what you just said is the God's gospel truth. Poor people are poor people. They all got the same problems. It doesn't matter what your color is. It doesn't
Bingo.
matter. You're all poor.
Bingo.
You know, it doesn't matter. And if you think that a poor family that's white in Texas is different than a poor family in the inner city in Minneapolis, they may have a tweak of the problem because of the environment, right? But the problems are the same at the end of the day.
Both are having problem buying milk. Both are having problem buying eggs. And that's what I keep trying to make people to understand. But at the end of the day, I guarantee you, somebody who like you said, somebody in the inner city and somebody's out in the rural, they both eat Fruit Loops. I can guarantee you that.
Right.
You know, I can guarantee you they both put their legs in one side and then their legs in the other side. We have more in common. When I sit down and I went to this place called Bloomington, and it is a white suburb of Minneapolis. And I just went there a couple of days ago. And they are very upset at what they have sat back and their city officials have let happen in their city. And it's being taken over. That same pissed off fear that those white people have in Bloomington, black people have in Minneapolis. And I'm not joking when I say that. And I told them, I said, we all need to come together for the good of Minnesota. Because if we don't, we're gonna be we have Democratic socialists literally bragging about being a Democratic socialist running for mayor here in Minneapolis. It's crazy. And if we don't, like I told them out in Bloomington, if y'all don't stop and we don't stop this black-white crap, hating on one another, we ain't going to have nothing. We're not.
I got sent a link to a story last night, and it's about a guy that got hired as a cop that's completely illegal. He's not from here. He's not even legally here. He doesn't even have a green card. He got put on the police force.
Oh, from Jamaica? The guy from Jamaica?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know the story.
Yeah. So they give him a gun, right?
Yep.
So the only reason he got caught was he thought, well, if they're giving me a gun, I can go buy a gun. So he tried to go buy a gun. And he was arrested.
On being
the
deported.
Police force. Yeah. On the police force. I'm like, okay, I'm all for legal, compassionate immigration, but what do the leaders think when they start putting totally illegal people on the police force that already has problems already, and people are going to find out that they're being arrested or charged by an illegal?
But he overstayed. So he overstayed his work visa.
Yeah.
Right? And and like you said, but when the police went to check him out, everybody gave the thumbs up. Until, like you said, I mean, and he was on the force. They gave him a gun. And if he had, here's where he messed up. If he had never went and applied for another gun,
he would have,
nobody would have ever said anything, right?
Right, nobody would know. Well, look, Oregon State, I just got an email from a defense attorney that I've done a lot of work for with self-defense cases. And Oregon State Police just hired a guy back that retired, okay? Before he retired, he got in trouble for drinking, off-duty, driving a state police car. Not fired, just written up. Go figure. I'm pretty sure his ass should have been fired. Then he was on the range with a new recruit that had just got hired, and he fired a gun right next to this guy's ear, behind his head.
What?
An active initiation, right? Not fired. They did not fire him. He was written up for that. So he retired. They just hired this joker back as a trooper on the road. They hired him back.
Are you guys short? You guys need? Y'all need?
No, this is in Oregon.
Oh, okay. Well, were they short? Oregon. Did they need? Because, you know.
Who knows? But when this hit the news, this investigative reporter found out that he talked to the head of the Oregon State Police, who handles hiring processes, and this is what they said. This guy meets all the legal requirements in his background check to be a trooper, period, and then wouldn't say anything else. Come on, man, really? And I get it, you might be strapped for cops, but what, you're gonna put a bad cop in? Come on.
Right.
There's no excuse. I'm just saying.
Understood. Oh my goodness, man. There's times when, you know, you got to be smart, but apparently, you know, they're not. And it's a shame that we can sit here and point out this type of stuff. It's a shame. But that's our government. And
yeah.
I'll say it until I'm 6 under. If we were to come together, man, oh my God, we would be something other than rag dolls and a kickball for the very government that don't give a damn about either one of us. Right. Especially the middle class, especially the poor people. They don't care. They don't really care. They don't care.
All the government has ever done for poor people is make up programs to keep them poor and keep them dependent on the government. That's all they've ever done.
Exactly. And that's a sad situation. And the real sad part about it is because we feel like there's nothing we can do, we don't do nothing.
Right.
We don't do nothing.
Well, but that goes back to your point. If people would put their very petty small differences aside, you know, and I think there's some legitimate big differences for some people, just based on personal experiences or whatever. But overall, I think what you say is very true. I think if most people would sit down and just have an honest conversation,
yeah,
you're gonna be like, wow, you're going through the same thing I'm going through.
Yeah, because I've done that, man. I've talked to so many people in rural areas, you know, that we laugh at it, and I've had people sit there and go, I never know because, you know, I never knew this because, you know, I don't get a chance to go and talk to people who are not like me and things of that sort. That's why I so enjoy going around Minnesota talking to people. Because a lot of times, like I said, a lot of people, they that's what they say. Man, you're the first person that ever, you know, stepped foot in my house or been in my house. I mean, I've been in people's houses that sit there and have told me point blank, years ago, I would never let a black person in my house. But I saw you on Twitter, or I heard you speak, and I wanted to meet you. I've been told that.
That's crazy.
Right, but it makes me feel good because they can see, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm no different than you are, man. I know. I'm no different than you are. So that actually opens my heart up to know that, you know, I can say something or do something, and it may not completely change their mind, but it gives them a different way of thinking sometime.
Sure. Well, that's why I wanted to talk to you about that ATF thing. I mean, I was literally shocked when you said, "Oh, I'm surprised. I thought you'd be all for the ATF." I'm like, wow, I never thought it. Okay, well, I think we should talk about that. But you know,
like
it's
I
funny,
said,
you know,
it just seems like sometimes that difference between, okay, we're in love with the police, but we hate the ATF. We're in love with the police, but sometimes we hate the FBI. You know what I mean? And I get that a lot, and I see that a lot, and I go, okay, I'm not gonna. But when you said that, that's why I was like, whoa, what the hell did that come from?
Well, I'm not in love with the police. I think the police need to be regulated like doctors, lawyers, and everyone else because they're people. And there's bad police and there's good police. And unfortunately, the bad ones are really bad, and they make it really bad for the good police. And they have so much control and authority with that badge that if they do bad stuff, it's a lot of times it's really bad. And
Sure.
you know, there's not enough being done about that. Just all over the place. I mean, I've seen stuff here where it's been like hell to pay to get a bad cop off the force or be adjudicated for what they've done, you know. But it does happen here. And, you know, back to your point of what you're talking about, you know, a lot of people think, oh, you live in Idaho, it's great, blah, blah, blah. Well, listen, like I live in a small town, just a little over 11,000 people, right? 6 years ago, it was 5,000 people. So it doubled in 6 years. They've been trying to get new middle schools built and an elementary school built. Can't get it done. No one will pass it. They don't want to pay for it. So our kids are struggling. You would think, come on, man, right?
Right.
And there's a lot of places in their city that have the same problem. Right, but that probably for different reasons. But
yeah, I was about to say it's not because, you know, they're growing. I'll ask you this question: this new school that y'all want built, are they building it because of the kids, or you understand, because you got more kids, or are you building it because they're bringing other people in? And they need to expand.
No, so many people have moved in here. Like I said, it went from 5,000 in 6 years to over 11,000. There's no room. Like, we need those schools for these kids. And people are like, well, we're not voting for that because we don't have kids. And I'm like, wait a minute, somebody voted for you to have a school? Like, come on.
There was a time I used to think like that. I used to sit there and go, I paid when my kids was in school, I paid my dues. But I don't have any kids anymore in school. So why should I be one of the people that pay for a school levy? Then I start thinking, I want a doctor to come out of that school that's right down the street from my house, right? I want someone with compassion that maybe will come from that school that will work at the nursing home that's right over there. So that every now and then you got to sit back and think, and maybe those people that don't want to pay for that, maybe they need to hear that message, because that little girl in the kindergarten that you didn't pay for, maybe that's going to be your doctor, your eye doctor, your diabetes doctor. You know what I mean?
Well, and what about this? Hey, are you a grandparent and your grandchildren live in another town?
That's right.
They need a school.
That's right.
I mean, come on. You know?
Yep.
And people are shocked when they hear me talk about this. They're like, really? You're having a problem with people supporting education for kids? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. It's
for a different reason, but you know, it's happening.
Well, here, our problem is, we got, and you know what? I'm not even gonna baby this. We have too many immigrants that has come in too fast. now we've got to have English teachers. You got to be able to speak Spanish, Somalian, Hmong, Asian, and it's just it's blowing the doors off of our schools, and we can't keep up.
Yeah.
That's our problem here.
Yeah.
So we've got to get this under control, or we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah. Well, we already are in trouble in places.
Well, we are. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that.
Yeah.
Hey, but look, my friend.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've got to do. We've been on here for 2 hours. I didn't even realize that.
Oh man, I didn't either.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's wrap it.
It's been quick. We've been on here for 2 hours. I was sitting there going, holy smoke, and I seen the wife look around the corner. I know what that means.
All right.
I got to get the dog. I got to get the dog walked, and then I got to go get plugged up.
All right.
With everything. But again, man, thank you so much, dude. Anytime we get together, like I said, 2 hours flew by. I didn't even realize it until I looked up, and there she was.
Yeah, I didn't either. I thought it was maybe I didn't even think about it. It feels like just an hour or so.
Yeah.
It's always great talking to you and interacting. It's always good. I appreciate you.
But I'm on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Well, I'm back now because my grandson had baseball. So All Stars, and they had a game almost every single night. So
well, good for them.
Yeah, there was no reason for me to even try to come home late and get on this thing. So Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, I'm on 7 o'clock. Same time, my time, 7 o'clock. Yep. So you've got the link. So I don't need to tell you. Anytime you want to come hang out, man, you're welcome, and we can definitely chop it up.
All right, I appreciate you and what you do.
Any one of those. And thank you for coming and hanging out with me on tonight, like I was telling everybody. No, it's not Wednesday, it's a Tuesday. I'm not usually on a Tuesday, but, coming in and hanging out and, like I said, talking about those cases there and understanding it, trying to understand a little bit more about the ATF than I knew before. So I appreciate you, man.
Well, just remember there's thousands more like that.
Exactly.
That's shocking. Yeah, so. All right, hey man, God bless you and your wife. Appreciate
same with you, man. Same with you. Everything's good on your end? You good?
Yeah, we just had our third granddaughter. She was born last Wednesday at 3:30, and everybody's healthy, and yeah.
Yeah, I know you.
Good.
Yeah, especially you tell me you was out cutting, had to go over and cut the grass, and.
Oh yeah.
But that's a good grandpa.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate you, Steve. Thank you very much, man.
All right.
We'll talk to you soon, right? All righty.
All right, yep.
Bye now.
Sounds good. Okay, bye.
Hey, fam, appreciate y'all coming and hanging out. We was talking about, like I said, ATF, things about the ATF, and how the ATF works against us. Just how law enforcement by itself works against us. So that was Steve. Steve's up there in Idaho, good friend of mine now. He and I, like I said, get on here every once in a while and chop it up and talk about anything related firearms and a few other things. So I just want to thank you all for hanging out with us. Didn't even realize we had been on this thing for 2 hours. I usually only do an hour, but we've been hanging out for 2 hours. I got things I got to do. Got to go walk my dog if he'll go outside. Right now, Jordy is not. He is literally not going outside. He'll go outside, do his business, and Jordy is back in the house that quick. Jordy is not going outside, but I got to go see if he'll at least go walk down the street a little bit and then back up. Or if not, I take him out so he can jump, because he can jump over his stick and all this here. But I got to get him going for a little bit. But again, appreciate you guys. I may do Wednesday. We'll see how things go. One of the things I did say I was going to tell everybody about is I do have a meeting. I called Mayor Fry. Mayor Fry did call me back. Mayor Fry and I had a conversation. We're doing tomorrow. Matter of fact, tomorrow I will be in Minneapolis meeting with some of the prominent head of black churches on tomorrow. We are working on some things. I'm just saying we're working on some things. So, But I did want people to know, because I did say, I don't know if Mayor Fryer will call me back. He did call me back. Mayor Fryer and I had a conversation. And if everything goes the way I'm hoping, my fingers crossed that they go, Mayor Fryer and I will be putting together a news conference, and you will be hearing some things about what we're going to be doing going forward as far as the election goes. So I just want everybody to know that. All right. Anyway, y'all have a good night. We'll talk to you maybe, like I said, maybe on Wednesday, but for sure on Friday. Peace, fam. I'm out.